Oh, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, Piers, and we are brought to you by Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And before we get into my very special guest, Zack Monstar, I'm going to thank a few of our sponsors. First up is A-Rock Designs. Now, A-Rock Designs is the company that you see out there making all those wonderful wrestling cups. They make hoodies, keychains, tumblers, you name it. They make it. They can monogram it. They even made me this beautiful CM Punk custom tumbler, and I absolutely love it. My kids have got cups. My wife has a cup from them. They are fantastic. They do stuff not just wrestling related. My next sponsor is Signal Studios. So if you need a custom track or music, if you're an independent professional wrestler, you need a new entrance song, hit up Rafi Tomasian from Signal Studios, and he will hook you up with an amazing track. He's got bands that he works with, or if you're a musician in Sydney and you need a place to rehearse, head down there. He'll be able to give you a nice, comfortable place to rehearse in. If you need to record, you can also do it there as well. Guys, as well, just to make mention that we do have our shirts, Pro Wrestling Tees store up, which is prowrestlingtees.com/MWA World, which the banner will be rolling at the bottom of this screen. We currently have a promotion going, so the first 25 people to buy a shirt will go in the draw to win a $50 Amazon gift card from their country, plus a second MWA shirt. So you can get shirts like this, the Shooting the Shit, Uncensored, 2020 Wrestling, the MWA Black and Silver, or the MWA Anime. But guys, without further ado, I'm going to bring him in so everyone can have a chat to him and meet this guy. He's now become actually a pretty good friend of mine. He's a pretty hilarious dude. He's an independent professional wrestler. He's a deathmatch wrestler. He's a second-generation wrestler. It's Zack Monstar. Zack, how you doing, buddy? Let me get rid of that shirt so it's not covering you. There you go.
Thank you. What's up, Piers?
Not much, man. Not much. It's good to have you on, man. It was last week I got to meet you and have a bit of a chat with you post Kevin's show, and man, it seems like we have a lot in common and pretty much a sixth sense of humor in both of us.
No, we're good, wholesome Christian boys, Bubba.
Oh, absolutely. But man, you've got man, what's been happening with you, man? Like with lockdown and everything, shows are now starting to open back up where you're at. How long has it been for you before you had been like in a match and having, been in the ring with an opponent?
So, I guess that really depends on what your definition of an opponent is. Because I got this giant 6-foot blow up alien that, like, me and him beat the shit out of each other all the time. Yeah. Like, so, yeah, no, I have pictures. I have to send them to you. I work matches with the alien all the time. That's always like a thing for me. Can we block him? Can we just instantly block him? Because I see him and I just don't want to deal with him right now. Me and him have been talking shit to each other all day today. Other than that, man, I've been doing good. Wrestling as a whole has slowed down so much for me that I don't know what to do with my life. I just kind of lost behind it. I got an annual pass to Universal, so like I'm like, all right, well, if I can't wrestle, I might as well go to a theme park. I don't know.
No, man, absolutely.
Be a tourist, because
enjoy the moment, bro.
Man, I'm trying to. Like, the one beautiful thing is, so one of the companies that I wrestle for on the other coast from me, they weren't required to shut down. So they're still able to like put on shows and stuff. So I've been kind of getting my wrestling fill, not as much as I was, but I'm able to still kind of get it out there and do my thing. I'm begging for my state, for Florida, to open back up so I can start running my own promotion again. Cause like I miss it. It's stressful, but damn it, I miss my company doing shows, and you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. You know, as you said, it's stressful, but you miss that moment of keeping on going through it, and that day to day operations of a business that you're used to doing, and it takes its time out on you. You know, like
Mhm.
when you don't have that to do, you kind of go on from being like going at 100 miles a minute to going at like 10. So it's it's a crazy experience, man.
It
And
is,
that's the
man, and
world
like,
we live.
no, I was just about to agree with you. Like, I went from doing shows and being in the ring and practicing. Man, I have to say, 6 times a week, 6 times a week to doing absolutely nothing. And I'm just like, I don't know what to do with myself. Like I got back in. I actually got in the ring yesterday. Because it's been a minute and I got hurt or whatever. So I was like, all right, well, let's see where I'm at. And man, I took a bump for the first time. And it felt like the first time all over again. It was not pretty. Like I took the bump and I was just like, why do I do this?
Why do I put myself? But the thing is, as well, like I think after you haven't done it for a while, that sort of muscle memory sort of slowly forgets. But after a while, it'll surely build back up to you and be like, oh yeah, there it is. You know.
uh, Hopefully, man, that bump callus, when you hear wrestling terminology, is such a real thing. Like if you're not doing it constantly, like your body gets used to not being in physical pain 24/7. So by the time it's all said and done, you start to feel normal again. You're like, all right, like I'm feeling pretty good. And you know what? Let's pick this back up real quick. And you do. And like I said, like I took a simple back bump and I regretted my situation. I was in the ring for like an hour and a half after that, but I still regretted every second.
That's the thing, man. Like it's taking the time to get back in there and getting your body used to taking that punishment. But what got you into wrestling at the start? Like, how old were you when you first saw it and really sort of went, "Well, what's this?"
My father locked me into a cubby and then started to beat it with steel chairs. No, 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 man. I- watching. So the very first time I ever saw wrestling, I was little. I was 3 years old, and my mom took me to an event. It was my first like real experience with wrestling, not just watching it on TV because I never really watched it. Like I was three, you couldn't pay me to keep attention at 3 years old, you know. But she
Yeah.
took me to the show, and from the second she took me to that show, dude, like I was hooked. Like instantly, I was hooked. I got to watch the Ultimate Warrior live, like come out and like do his thing, and like I just remember the crowd, and I was like, I'm gonna do that. That's what I want. Like I want that. And ever since I was 3 years old, like that was like the one thing that I wanted. And later on in life, like I built a ring in my backyard, and we were doing the backyard wrestling thing, just being stupid, having fun with our friends. The promotion down here got a hold of me, said, "Hey, man, would you like to do this for real?" They offered to train me and everything else. So next thing I know, like I'm in the ring and like I'm actually in a ring and I'm training and I'm like having a blast doing it. And that was 13 years ago professionally. Like
Yeah, right. And how did you go from like obviously doing the backyard stuff to then going and training in an actual pro wrestling ring and training to be a pro? Did you find it easy when you were starting out in the training process, or was it like, holy shit, this is like not the same thing I've been doing?
so it was different, you know what I mean? Because when we were doing the backyard wrestling thing, man, we didn't have mattresses and stuff. Like we were taking suplexes straight to like the yard and the grass, just doing dumb shit. And I was known for jumping off of roofs and trees and whatever I could fucking climb and get my hands on. I was that guy. And man, the bumps really weren't that bad. It was learning the proper way to do everything. You know what I mean? Because like I said, like once I got into wrestling, I started watching wrestling, and I was watching wrestling 24/7. Like if it wasn't on TV, I was playing it on my game. I was watching it on movies. I'm slowing clips down to see how they're doing things.
Yeah.
So once I actually got into officially getting trained, like I said, it was about placement and learning how to properly do things. You know what I mean? As a worker, you work on the left side of the body. In backyard wrestling, you just grab them and hope for the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So once they taught me all that, and once I got into the swing of all that, man, like it was relatively easy. Understanding certain things and concepts was like the tricky part. But once I was able to understand the way that like things are supposed to go and the way that things flow and stuff like that, I was like, all right, I got this, you know?
Yeah, and you mentioned your dad earlier. Your dad is a professional wrestler as well. Sin Bodhi. How much of an influence, like when you told him you wanted to get in and start training to be a professional wrestler, did he want to train you, or was he sort of saying, no, you got to go find your own school and do this on your own?
So Sin pretty much took me under his wing. I want to say like earlier in my career, and to this day, like we still talk about, spots and how I do certain things. And he sends me training regimens because he lives out in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he's lived out in Las Vegas forever. And it's funny because like I don't really talk about like when people. So my wife, for example, I never really told her like who dad was.
Yeah.
It was just one of those things that like she saw me and him at a show, and then she started putting two and two together because like we just happened to be wearing like the same exact face paint that night. Like we both did like a Captain Spaulding thing, and we're sitting there and we're interacting, and then like once and like I told her, like she understood it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was funny because like you're seeing all these other people like start to realize like how much of a resemblance is really happening here. Like when he had long hair, I had long hair. Now his head is shaved and he has a beard, and my head is shaved and I have a beard, and we're both covered in tattoos. So like just to see us sitting at like the merch stand without like our makeup on and we're just communicating, people are like, you two look identical. And we're like, yeah, weird like that. Like,
And people don't stop to get it. It's like, but
we keep it kayfabe the whole way through.
But that I think as well, like it's with second generation and third generation wrestlers, it's I've interviewed a few of them, like Orlando Colon or Epico, Ricky Knight Jr., and they sort of say like these things will open doors for you, but you have to have the talent and skill to be able to continue that. And even Garrett Bischoff, who I've interviewed in the past, he said the same thing. He's like, it'll open doors for you and it'll give you opportunities to get in, but once you're there, you have to be able to perform. If not, you're the first one to go.
Yeah, no, you have to be able to carry your weight with the name that's behind you. You know what I mean? And dude, Sin is a fantastic worker. He's amazing. Like runs his own training camp, and his psychology about things is just so fantastic, and it's amazing, dude. Like to this day, we'll have a conversation about it, and he'll say something in psychology wise, and like it blows me away. And like I said, like I've been doing this 13 years. Like I've had a lot of different people try to teach me and give me advice throughout the years. And Sin's been a big help for me understanding things. But he does the whole warlord of weird gimmick, and it works out really well, and especially since I'm doing the whole satanic I'm just a dude playing another dude dressing up as the devil playing another guy. Like that's my you know. And no, he does his gimmick so well, man. So like understanding where he fits in the circle compared to where I fit in the circle, because our gimmicks are, to like the naked eye, like they look so much similar, but you can honestly tell like once the actual ring work starts, we're two totally different people. Sin
Yeah,
sticks
the
to
style.
Sin sticks to a very traditional, like, haha, funny, like gaga here and there, like chain wrestling aspect. And I am a smash mouth, like right out the gate. I'm coming in. I'm not here for the gaga or the haha. Like I can chain wrestle. I don't like to chain wrestle. Like that's my problem. But it doesn't
Yeah.
allow, like my character doesn't allow it. if that makes sense. Like, I mean, here's this big 6'5" demon looking motherfucker throwing on a hammer lock. Like, the shit just don't make sense,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Whipping into the ropes, leapfrog, hip toss, all that sort of shit. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But so Kevin wants to know. Kevin's got a question here for you, and he said, "Pierce, ask Zach what his favorite movie is and why is it Step Brothers?" Zach, did we just become best friends?
Because do you want to go do karate in the garage? Me and Kevin spent 45 minutes quoting that movie yesterday.
That is the best movie of all time. Like, I love it. I love it. But getting into, like, having in the family with Sin and for pro wrestling, like Sin, who has wrestled everywhere around the world, when you decided to take it the next step further and get into deathmatch wrestling and trying your hand at that, what was his reaction to that? Was he like what the fuck is this, or is he like, oh no, this is like, yeah, go and do it, man?
Prime example. Fuck. Because Sin's willing to do the hardcore stuff. Like, he's not against it. He's really not. But he's very strategical about it, Me and him, it's funny too, because like me and him worked each other for, I want to say, like the first time, like as long as we've been doing this. And because like I said, he's out in Vegas, I'm down here in Fort Myers, you know what I mean? So
yeah, there's a reason chant 6 months are gonna kill you.
So when it all comes down, that popped up and I started reading it. I apologize, I was mid-story.
No, it's all good, bro. All good, bro.
So because of the distance thing and not always being on shows together and stuff like that, I've never really gotten a chance to work, Pops. And one time last year, and it was for October, actually, the company that we worked for booked me and Pops in a match together, and we actually got to work. And he was all about doing like the Legos, and we did like a thumbtack spot, and like it was very, very chill and mediocre, but when it comes to like gusset plates and stuff like that, like I don't know, we've never really had the conversation about it. He just tells me to be careful and stay safe.
But what was it for you, the deathmatch wrestling, that resonated for it? Like, what was it that you went, I got to do this, I have to be involved in this? What got you into it?
I was forced into it. I didn't know what I signed up for. No, so my little brother, his name's Raven Havoc. Me and him are actually doing, Raven. You watched the match,
yeah.
That match was my very first death match ever.
That was a pretty well put together match, though. Like, it's, you didn't go straight into the gimmicks, which I liked. You didn't use, like, you know what I mean? Like, you had the match and you brought in the weapons strategically. I found like it was well placed. It was well timed.
Thank you. Being where I come from, it's all about like the psychology, and I've always said anybody can go out there and they can do a hardcore match. Why? Because a lot of people don't really think about it from the aspect of like being an artist. They're just like, we're going to go out there and we're going to take this chair and I'm going to hit you a bunch of times with it, But what goes into that is, okay, so if you're going to implement light tubes and a ladder or fire or barbed wire, anything like that, like it's a building block process. So if you instantly just go straight for your barbed wire, your chair shot isn't going to mean shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's all about the building blocks. Like, that's the way like a proper hardcore match should go. And like I said, anybody can do a hardcore match if you go in there with the aspect of, we're going to go in there and we're going to hit each other with a bunch of shit. But to wrestle with weapons, two totally different fucking like scenarios into it. So Raven got a hold of me, and me and him had always been talking about doing a match together. That was we were supposed to do it in 2018. Things happened. I couldn't do it. My daughter was actually like born around that point in time, so it didn't work out, So I was like, all right, well, we'll do it next time. And Raven hit me up one day and he's like, Zachy, I really want to work you. And I was like, well, hey man, I got a show coming up in July, you know, if you're down. And he was like, I'll make the trip. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I'll make it a hardcore match for you too, because I know like that's your thing. And I was like, and I'm fun with him. So, and he was like, okay, cool. And man, like 2 weeks before he was supposed to be down here, he was like, hey, Bubba, I got us a couple glass panels and, gusset plates. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, oh, gusset plates. He was like, it's really cool. He was like, they go in your arm and they bleed really easy and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hold up. I signed on for a hardcore match. I didn't sign on for, what the fuck are you talking about, Raven? And he was like, it's all good, bro. Don't worry about it. And I was like, all right. So he showed up like the day before, like the day or two before the match.
Yeah.
And he pulls out these fucking gusset plates. And he shows me how he drove down from North Carolina, Piers. He drove down from North Carolina with our friend Coop, who was about 320 pounds in the front seat, and our friend Carly, who was in the back seat with 4 panels of fucking tempered glass in his back seat as well. So Carly scrunched up in her back seat like this the entire way through, like just sitting Indian style for a 14-hour car ride. And I was like, man, I don't know about the glass, dog. Like, I've never done it before. Like, can we do like a test run? And he was like, nope. And I was like, all right, fuck it. So the day of the show, like I was nervous. Like I was nervous. And I tried to talk to him like so many different times. And he was like, dude, you just got to take it. So when we started calling the match or whatever, he was like, how do you want to take the pane of glass? He was like, you got to go through it first. And I was like,
what?
Just double stomp me. Like I'll put myself where I need to be, but you just put me through it, bro. And because Raven's a little guy, like there was no way he was going to be able to like power bomb me through it in any way, shape, or form. And so we just were like, fuck it, double stomp me. And the only thing I remember is looking up and knowing that my entire back is on this glass table and looking up and here's Raven as he blows me a kiss before he fucking kills me.
That's crazy that you didn't even know that that's what you were getting yourself into and you were booking the match. But for those who don't know what gusset plates are like they're almost like things that keep buildings and structures together. Like they're a little metal plate like that. They go inside to keep walls and beams like on point. And like I've seen some of those gusset matches, man. Like, dude, I remember seeing a match between Masada and Jun Kasai, and Jun Kasai took a drop toe hold, and his face just went straight like against gusset plates. And it was, dude, that was one of the craziest fucking things I ever saw. Like, dude, I don't have a weak stomach, but like I was watching that and just went, holy fuck! Like that was, dude, that made my skin crawl, bro. But have you ever like what once
so
you've
now
done
that
it, like
I'm
how did
into
you
it though, I'm like, oh dude, there's so many things I want to. Once I did it like so vividly because it was kind of a cold night. So like I walked out and like my arm's bleeding. I've got gashes on my head. There's glass still on my body. And like everybody just kind of gave me a minute to like collect myself. And I looked at everybody and they're like, are you okay? And I was like, I have never felt more alive in my entire fucking life, dude. That was fantastic.
So it was like a rush straight after it happened. You were like, holy shit, man. That adrenaline's still pumping.
To the point that I'm like, sign me up. Like whoever wants a deathmatch guy in Florida, you let me know. Me and Raven are actually planning on doing his show, which is Unholy Warfare in North Carolina. And I'm gonna go up there and me and him are gonna work again. And I'm like, I've just been like looking at so many different things in like the deathmatch like world. that I'm like, I want to do that, and I want to do that, and let's do that, and oh my god, we should have fun with that. Like, I think the only thing that I won't do is a scissor board.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy. That shit.
The
Like,
scissor board, yeah, no.
even the Coke cans, man, that looks pretty gnarly as well, dude. Like, I've seen that, and I'm like,
Death boards are so easy to do, bro. Like, I've looked at them, and then like, so about to expose the business here. You ready for this one?
ooh, yeah, let's do it.
So, if you look at a can, now obviously this is not a normal size can, but if you look at a can, so right here in the middle is the weakest part of the can compared to these, which are the hardest parts of the can, right? So when you cut the can in half and you set it up, it's flimsy, almost like aluminum foil, dude. Like, it's such an easy break that it won't kill you as long as you land flat.
Dude, that's crazy. Still looks fucking gnarly to take though, dude. But I tell you what, man, who are some of the guys in the deathmatch scene that you'd really like to get in there with and chop it up with?
G Raver.
Dude.
Dude. G Raver's on with Atticus Cougar over for the WrestleMania show that we were putting on together. Me and him are part of the same brand sponsorship. And so I reached out to him and I asked him if he was going to be in Tampa for WrestleMania. And he was like, absolutely. And I was like, hey, man, we're doing a show like 10 minutes away from the venue. You want to work a death match? And he was like, absolutely. So I almost had Atticus. So like that's a thing that's going to happen soon or later. Like, I want Atticus, but G Raver, once he gets better, man, I would death match. Like, I've got a list of people that I'm like, I have no problem dying at this point. Let's go.
Oh, dude, yeah. Well, you know, well, I actually had the chance to interview G Raver, man, and you know his injury that he sustained.
Nice,
He, you know what? He's such a genuine dude, and he looks like the scariest motherfucker on earth. And it's like, but it's like metalheads though, dude. Like, if you go to like a metal show and it's like in a mosh pit and stuff like that, you like, and if you don't know metal and you go, fuck, these people look violent and crazy, you meet the nicest people at like in deathmatch wrestling, and you do in metal shows. Like, seriously, the nicest fucking human beings on earth.
Dude, G Raver just won his case against Cornette, by the way.
Yes, I saw that. Dude, like, fuck, man. Well, dude, Jim Cornette is just this old. It's like he's this grumpy old man that just has to fucking throw shade on everything. Like, dude, just shut the fuck up. Like, you don't like deathmatch wrestling? All right, cool. Just shut the fuck up, Jim.
Dude, he reminds me of these vets that have been in the business for like 25 years who have never done anything, or if like the one thing that they did was have like a TV appearance as a jobber. You know what I mean? And like, I love wrestling. Like, don't get me wrong. You did something in the business that, you know, not a lot of people got to do. By all means, I respect that. But don't be bitter about the way that wrestling is nowadays. Like, wrestling, just like life, is ever evolving and ever changing. That's why when you look at AEW, which is on my TV like right now, but when you look up and you see AEW, like, it's such a different breed than what you're used to on like the grand stage of things when it comes to wrestling, because all we've ever had was WWE on TV. And they're doing they're doing something different, and they've taken what your basis of wrestling is, and they've ran with it being evolving and ever changing. And for that, some of these vets that you meet or talk to, like Jim Cornette, is so stuck with back in my day, back in your day, a DDT was a finisher. Back in your day, The Undertaker was a believable gimmick. Like,
exactly. The times have evolved, and like, you know, the comments he made about G Raver were not only insensitive, but just made him look so fucking stupid in saying them as well, man. Like, it's, you know, but that's the thing. He doesn't get deathmatch wrestling. He's a guy that likes that. I'm a good old Southern boy, you know, like, yeah, he likes that hillbilly shit, and yeah, That's what he's going to be sitting there. Give me the Midnight Express. You know what I mean, dude? Like, yeah, he's not going to get deathmatch wrestling. Like, he's not going to get rap music.
No, and like he's that guy that with 5 more minutes of chaining back and forth, and it's like, when is 5 minutes of chaining ever a good idea? I hate chaining. Like I love doing it at practice because I love teaching the kids that, but like I cannot stand it in a match with like a crowd, because like you watch it and you're just like, unless you're moving quick and you're doing the flips and the kip ups and something that is just different, traditional hand to hand reversal chain wrestling, I think is boring. And like that's my opinion about it. You know what I mean? A lot of other people, like Kevin for one, likes the chain wrestling. This is why he shows his age. That's all.
Look, I can appreciate it if it's done correctly and it's done in an entertaining way and it gets over. But if it's sitting there and you've got the crowd sitting on your hands, but if you said, you got the kip ups, the fast pace, and a couple of flips put into it as well, then great. It's definitely going to keep people intrigued into it. But if you're just sitting there just going arm drag, hip toss, and then going through the motions, it's just you're phoning it in.
And essentially. No, and I completely agree with that. One of my favorite, to this day, where I will still watch it, one of my favorite chaining back and forths is RVD and Jerry Lynn. Like, if you've like that's my favorite type of chaining. The back and forth, where it comes off to like a standoff between the two. Like, those are my favorites, man. Like, they really are, because it's not just hold for hold. It's literally move for move. You know what I mean? They have no problem hitting the ropes, working back and forth, duck, dodge, flip. You know what I mean? Dive, miss, standoff. Like double drop kick standoff, where like both of them fucking miss and they just look at each other, and like the crowd is like, hell yeah. Like, when you can get a standing ovation from that, yes, absolutely yes.
You've got the crowd in the palm of your hand at that stage. You know what I mean? Like, that's when they know that you've got them hooked.
Absolutely.
But Sabu's another guy that could do it. You know what I mean? Like, Sabu back in the day, his matches, he could incorporate that chain wrestling stuff, because you're going to see some crazy ass shit coming out of that dude. But
Sabu nowadays can still go, man. I worked him in February of this year, right before everything went to shit. I worked Sabu. I got that in my belt. I can say that officially. And it was a triple threat match, and it was me and my buddy Chuckles, who is working over in ROH, versus Sabu. And I think I was telling you this earlier. Remember when I told you, like, I was supposed to work New Jack, and then things happened and they put Sabu in that place?
That's correct. So you just cut out there. So. Yeah, you just cut out. So you're just saying that
Chuckles is such. Oh, I apologize.
No, you just cut out. I was just explaining that you were supposed. Yeah, I can hear you. You were just explaining exactly you were supposed to fight or were supposed to wrestle New Jack, but New Jack, the plans changed and you end up facing Sabu, also with Chuckles as well. So you want to take it from there?
Oh, I was just saying, Chuckles is such an amazing person. Like, the first time Chuckles ever did light tubes, he did them with me. So going into this match, I was like, hey, Chuckles, like, I've got skewers and I have these gusset plates. Like, we're about to face the king of hardcore wrestling. Like, let's take it up a notch. So we brought these out, and Sabu's face when he saw him backstage was like, what in the hell did I just get myself into?
I could just imagine like guys going up to Sabu going, hey man, this is a gusset plate. Yeah, I'm gonna take these skewers and bang them into your forehead, son.
So Sabu looked at me and he was like, okay. He was like, are you two going to do that to each other? And we're like, yeah, man. And Chuckles goes, hey, whatever you're not willing to take. And Sabu goes, hey, all respect, I'd prefer not to do the metal things. That's all he said. And we were like, okay, no problem. So he was like, oh, and don't be afraid to protect yourself on the chair throws. That's like Sabu's like biggest thing. And he does them really nice, dude. It's just a float. It's so nice. And
It looks more
so
devastating than what it is, obviously. Yeah.
yeah, and he made it very clear, like, don't be afraid to, protect yourself. Like, I won't take it as disrespect. And I was like, okay, well, please don't take it as disrespect when I take these wooden skewers and take them to you. And he was like, that's fine. So in the match, we're like going back and forth or whatever. Sabu comes in with this metal spike, this fucking metal spike that he keeps in his boot. And he stabs Chuckles in the head, and he comes by and he stabs me in the head. And like, all I can think is, oh, I'm so about to get payback. And dude, I grabbed like these wooden skewers, and he turned around, and I just real quick, like right to the top of the head. And you just see Sabu like roll out the ring and be like, what the fuck was that?
And just immediately that time he turns into Danny Glover from Lethal Weapon. I'm too old for this shit. What do you say after
that? He was bleeding a lot, and I didn't understand why, because I was like, I didn't catch you that bad. You know what I mean? Like, I've taken wooden skewers, and like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, they suck, but it's not, you know what I mean? You're not going to bleed like that. And I'm like, why is Sabu bleeding so bad? Like, did I fuck up? Like, is he found out he took a bump, and when he did, he smacked one of the gusset plates that were in the ring.
Oh,
hand first. So like Sabu's like checking his head, and it's making it look 10 times worse than, you know what I mean, what it was supposed to be. And so we make it to the back, and I was like, thank you so much. Like, is everything okay? Are you okay? And he's like, absolutely. I had a blast. Like, thank you so much. And Sabu was super cool about everything. And Sandman then walked up to me, and he was like, you need to slow the fuck down out there. Excuse me? What? I almost got into a fight with Sandman that night.
Really? So how did that go down? Like, Sandman's basically just told you need to slow the fuck down, kid. And you're like...
So Sandman's gimmick isn't a gimmick. It's real. The drunk asshole, that's really him. Which is weird, because like I worked Sandman last year. And like, dude, he was so nice and like super professional and like all about doing the work. Sandman this time showed up drunk as fuck, couldn't remember any of a spot. 2 minutes into the match, he was supposed to kick out. He forgot to kick out, then tried to make an impromptu 4-way. Like, it was weird. It was very weird. And then he's giving us criticism about our match, and Sabu's just looking at him like, it's fine. Go away. Like, just go away. Like, he was super nice about it. And like, there were so many issues with that, but like, Sandman was in my face, and I told him flat out, I'll beat your fucking ass. I don't care who you are. I don't care how many friends you have in this locker room.
Kevin said Sandman fucked a finish for the 4-way at ARW. But that's the thing, like, Sandman, I've heard stories about him as well. And, like CZW bought, like, back in the day at like Cage of Death 3 brought him in, and like he had to do this thing where he cut the ring out and he cleared the ring and all this other bullshit. And he was so fucking maggoted drunk that he actually didn't actually remember like he said, like, I think it was Justice Pain and Wife Beater. And he got the names wrong of the dudes that would just had the fucking main event in Cage of Death at a sold out, ECW arena show. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, that's just, it just sounds like he is just one of those guys. Is like, he was just there for the partying, then, but never grew up. You know what I mean? Like, you think a 40, 50-year-old man, you're a professional wrestler, you're going to turn up fucking hammered to shows. Like, I don't know, man. Over time, that's going to cause you not to get booked, but
right. And like, I think that he has lived off of what he did back in the day for so long that he hasn't tried to evolve any. Like, dude, Sabu Rhino is another one. Like, dude, when I worked Rhino, he was so professional and he was very much about like, hey brother, what do you want to do? What's in your arsenal? You know what I mean? Very just super nice and professional, because you don't really get that with a lot of the guys. Sometimes you run into these vets who are like, all right, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this. Just hit me with the punches and kicks, like get your heel heat in. Rhino was
Yeah.
like, the only thing I ask is don't hit me from behind. And he was like, I don't do drivers. And I was like, that's fine. I can work around everything else. Like, thank you. You know, Sabu took a Death Valley driver into a bunch of Legos, and I got to stab him in the head with skewers. I'm not mad at that.
Dude, but that's crazy. The
Like
fact that Sabu,
I'm not mad at
that's crazy. That,
the ability to.
dude, that's crazy that Sabu just turned around and let you, like, they gave you so much in that ring when he didn't really have to, like it just goes to show the passion and love that he still has for it. And also the knowing that he has to sort of help build, the younger talent as well. Even though you've been in the business 13 years, compared to Sabu, it's for him to do that, it just goes to show the level of maturity as a performer in him as well, to understand that what's needed to not just go get all his cool shit in, but also to make sure that it's a two-way street, or in this case a three-way street in a match.
Right. I think that I have the biggest respect for people who do that.
Yeah, man. Like, dude, you look at guys like Terry Funk, who was doing it back in the day, bro. Like, he did things he didn't have to do, and it's like guys that do that, they have more of a respect for the business and not sort of thinking, oh, I've got to hold on to my spot. I'm clinching onto something that is out of my control anyway from leaving me. You know what I mean? Like, you can either do the right thing or you can be a dick, and it's almost like anything in life, really. But professional wrestling really does need the veterans to really invest into the younger talent in order for the business to continue to grow and succeed.
I've always said it, dude. Like, independent wrestling is the roots of the professional wrestling tree, and once the roots die, so does the tree, man. Like, we are the next generation of people you're gonna see on TV, and you're gonna see doing big things. So when you run across a veteran who is willing to give you that, and he understands that, man, I will do the stupidest bumps in history for a veteran willing to work with me, compared to somebody who just doesn't give a shit, who's just there for a payday.
Yeah, exactly. And you've probably seen that time and time again with a lot of these veterans that just come in. I just want to, all right, pay me, let me get the fuck out. Yeah, no, you're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. But as far as like the wrestling business as itself, you say that you're a promoter as well. You are a promoter. But how have you found, obviously, going from being one of the boys, being a wrestler, to running your own promotion and actually booking shows? You were saying before how stressful it can be, but how did you transition into the promoter stage of professional wrestling?
So the company I was working for originally went under, and within 15 minutes I was on the phone with my buddy Jordan, and I was like, fuck this, we're gonna do this. This is exactly how we're gonna do it. And we put on a show for the first time. Just we straight up put on a show for the first time. And dude, the show knew how to do certain things, and I know what not to do because I've watched other people do them, and it's a bad, and it not end well. So for my shows, I'm very hands-on with everything, from the idealism of talking to matches with them. Like, I agent their matches for them.
Yeah.
And by agenting, I mean I sit back, I listen to them, and if they have an idea, I have no problem being the soundboard for it. I like to give them creative control. Like, I don't want to be that guy to be like, all right, I need this, and this done in your match. By the way, you only have 5 minutes, figure it out. I'm not that guy. I want you to go out there, I want you to have a great fucking match, and I want you to do it on your terms. I'm going to give you 15 minutes from bell to bell, not even your entrance. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. Go out there, have fun. And like, they appreciate that more than the stranglehold on like certain aspects of like booking and wrestling and stuff like that. Um, and as an independent worker, you know, you're required to promote your shows. You know,
Oh,
you're required.
100%.
Yeah, you're required to get your name out there along with the company's name. So transitioning from an independent wrestler to an independent wrestler who has a promotion, it wasn't that difficult. Now, mind you, I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I'm going to make that very clear. I've been running Real Pro for 5 years now, so I have a better grasp on it. But at first, like within that first year, I had no idea. I was like, the hell am I doing here?
Yeah, like almost just going through the process of that learning stages of it though. Like as you say, doing it for 5 years. I think, and no one goes into being a pro wrestling promoter and knows exactly what to do all the time. But have you? Did you have to? Do you ever find yourself having to tell guys to pull guys back, or you just guys go, nope, you want to do some crazy ass shit, go for it?
It really depends on what I have on the card that night. Like that's my biggest thing. So I stick to the hardcore division of my company or the tag division. I let the other guys. So I never wanted to be the heavyweight champion in my own promotion. I didn't want that in any way, shape, or form. And I was set up to do a match with Sammy Callahan, and they thought that it would be a good idea for me to be the champion going into that match. So I let them kind of talk me into it, and I was like, all right. So I sat down with my other owner, with Jordan, and we like kind of talked about it. And it just so happened that our heavyweight, our top crown champion at that point in time, which is like our top tier belt or title. I don't know why I just said belt, but our top tier title. Um, he got injured and had to relinquish. So now I'm about to face Callahan. So like it's just the way that everything laid out for it. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And that was the only reason why I took it. And I never wanted it. I never wanted to be in that position with my own company, because you hear it all the time, like, oh, that guy started a promotion just so he could be the champion. Like, that's not what I wanted in any way, shape, or form. I never wanted to be that guy. So I let the other roster take care of their main event and stuff like that, and I just stick to the hardcore division, man. And like, the only thing that I ever ask is, if you know that they're doing, so like one show, it was a hardcore match. It was me versus the hardcore champion at the point in time in a hardcore match. And then later on that night was a last man standing match where they had planned to like take apart the ring and do a bump on the wood. So me and my match were before them. So instead of doing anything crazy, we just went out there and literally beat the shit out of each other. I think we used like one weapon the entire time. Like everything else was just physicality with playing around on the outside. So it's more along the lines of like not telling them not to do it, but figuring out where to place that and where it's going to make sense, especially if there's something else later on in the show that what they're about to do is going to outshine anything that they're about to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just making sure that it's placed at the right place at the right time on the card, so it doesn't sort of take away from it. Obviously, with deathmatch tournaments and stuff like that, it's one thing, but on a lot of cards back in the day, it's like, all right, if one guy's going to bleed, it's going to be in the main event. He's going to get color. That because but if everyone's gigging on it on every single match of the card, when it comes time for it to matter in the main event, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
And
So it means less.
It's the same aspect with like deathmatch tournaments. I love deathmatch tournaments. I love light tubes. Light tubes are so fun to play with. Like it's such an easy workable gimmick. But if you're in a deathmatch show, for example, and there's 8 matches on your card, by the time that the main event comes around, they've used light tubes in every other match that it doesn't mean anything. Like, and that sucks. So it's definitely it's picking and choosing like what you want to do.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, I think that there's some promotions that do the deathmatch tournaments well and try and bring in different contraptions and different setups and stuff like that. But man, like it's deathmatch wrestling is I find it, and I always say this to everyone: there's good deathmatch wrestling, there's bad deathmatch wrestling, there's good deathmatch workers, and there is terrible deathmatch workers. And the match that you had with Raven Havoc, I really liked it because it wasn't just hack and slash. It was
Necro
yeah. But it wasn't just about hack
I'm
and slash.
listening. I'm grabbing my juice. I'm sorry.
No, that's right. It wasn't just about hack and slash. It was just more about like setting things up for the right time. And as you said earlier, going on those levels, building the foundations. You can't just go from going right, putting someone through glass to then doing a steel chair shot to the back. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to work. It's not, people are going to shit on that. But as far as death matches go, like when was the first time that you actually saw deathmatch wrestling, as a fan and saw what the fuck is this?
CCW was like my very first initial welcoming into the deathmatch wrestling like community behind it. You know what I mean? And because I've always been a fan of the hardcore matches when you see them done on like a really well scale on WWE and stuff like that. I've always been a fan of those. And then when I found death matches, I found them in CCW, man. And then I think my first real like experience behind it was Tournament of Death. Actually, I can't remember what year, but Tournament of Death was like my very first like a whole new world. I was just like, this is amazing.
Do you remember who was on the card? I'll be able to tell you what year it is.
Oh, God damn it. Masada was there. I know that much. And I want to say it was the year before. I could be wrong. Hold on. No, because Sick Nick Mondo was still there.
Oh, so it would have been Tournament of Death 1 or 2.
Like Mondo was still around.
His last one was 2. That was his last match where that's where he took the weed whacker spot.
That was the one. That was the one right there. The weed whacker.
Oh no, that was one. That was one. That was one. That was one. Yeah, that was
the weed whacker was my first and I was like, oh shit. Like that's ow. What the fuck? And then I was like, the more that I started watching, then I saw the one with what is Zandig? Is that Danzig or whatever? Hit Joey Janela with the deal off the top of the 3-story warehouse through onto the trailer bed. Like,
dude, the thing is to take bumps like that, man. I watch it and just go, bro, you've either got to be fucking high or crazy, if not both, to be able to do that. Because it's like, man, that's some scary ass shit. Like, I'm afraid of heights, bro. Like, I stand on a step ladder and I shit my pants, I'd be like, yeah,
Raven.
fuck this.
So is Raven.
Yeah.
Raven is terrified of heights.
But you mentioned that in like the death match, and I really don't want to spoil it, but at one stage you have him set up on the ladder to go through the glass and the Legos, and I was just like, it was a cool finish to the spot. But you even said, it was like, yeah, I couldn't go up too far on the ladder because Raven was like, nah, bro, I'm scared of heights.
So Raven told me he was scared of heights before the match, like as our music's hitting, because we both came in from like separate entrances. So he's on the one side, I'm by the entranceway or whatever. And so like right before we split, he's like, hey, take care of me out there. I'm scared of heights. What? What? You called the finish of a ladder spot, bro. Like, what are you talking about? You're scared of heights. And he's like, I'm scared of heights. Like, just don't go too high on the ladder. So we're like, okay. So like the entire time I'm like, this motherfucker, like I want to shake this kid. And we get to the ladder spot where he's like dragging me up, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna hit you with the mist, and then I'll pop you and I'll set you for the Death Valley. And that spot was really wonky if you look at it, because if you notice, like I got down off of the ladder to transition to like to a better side, because the way that I
Yeah.
had him, like I wanted to make sure that I put him down safely. Like that was my biggest concern. It wasn't so much taking the bump, it was making sure he made it safely. So I ended up getting down and still like climbing back up. And as like I take like the second step up, he's like, "That's high enough, that's high enough." And I'm like, "We're only 2 steps up here, you fuck." And he was like, "You're 6'5", it doesn't matter." Mind you, this entire conversation's going on while we're on the ladder. And I'm just like, fuck it. Here we go.
Dude, it's so but you know what? It didn't the spot still looked pretty spectacular. Like it still looked really good that you did it. And you know, when you told me that, I was like, I wasn't that high up on the ladder. I didn't even notice. You know what I mean? And I'm one of those guys, like, I'd really, like, you know what I mean? Because you are such a tall dude. But, like, for me, like, I'm one of those guys that really look at everything that happens in a match. You know what I mean? I don't like to sit there and go, well, that doesn't make sense, because then it's, why am I watching if I'm not going to enjoy it and have fun? But
right.
if I see something blatantly, I'll be like, whoa, 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 whoa. But not to break down matches. But yeah, like I didn't even notice that when I watched the match until you told me, and I went back and watched it again. So,
right.
But
Going back and looking at it, so like his back is equal to the top of the ladder. So like it looks like me and him are up there. But realistically, like I was only second, maybe third step up before he was like, "No."
But have you been in talks with companies like GCW and about CZW pre-COVID about coming in and doing some of the tournament of deaths or tournament of survivals?
So I haven't reached out to CCW yet. I have talked to somebody over at GCW, and we had it very close to the point where the next time they do a Florida show, I'm welcome to come in.
Oh, that's awesome, man. GCW is a pretty good promotion, man, from what I've seen. Like some of their shows that they do, really, really good quality, bro. Like it's, you know, for me, I'm starting to see them as one of the top promotions on the indies at the moment. You know, they definitely seem to have their eye on the prize and definitely working well. CZW, you know, absolutely, they've had legends about it, you know, in that company for a very long time. I think the last few years has been a bit hit and miss for them, but look, that's my personal opinion. But guys, we are getting close to the 1 hour mark. Kevin has asked me to ask you about Piers. Please ask Zach about the greatest leg drop ever. So tell me about the greatest leg drop ever, Zach. You there? Can you hear me?
Orange Cassidy?
Orange Cassidy did the greatest leg drop ever.
I hate him so much. So earlier in my career, I'm just making sure. Can you hear me right now? Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Perfect.
No, so we just had this conversation earlier. Fucking Kevin. Okay. So it was earlier in my career, and it was like my first hardcore match, and I was like 5 matches in, and they go, "Hey, we're gonna let you work our hardcore guy." So I said, "Okay, great." And I turned around and he asked me like, "Hey, is there anything that you want to do?" And he was a really big like a Bismarck Mankind, and I was a huge Hardy Mark, and so I was like, I was like, "How do you feel about the teeter totter spot?" And he was like, I don't really trust the ladder going in my face." And I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Well, I've always wanted to do the leap over." He didn't question me. He didn't stop me. I had a 12-foot ladder. I felt like I was untouchable. Like there was no bump in the world that could hurt me. So we're in this match,
Yeah.
and it
Looks like Zach has just popped out, guys. He will be back very shortly. But in the meantime, guys, I do recommend that you head over to our Pro Wrestling Tee store, which is the link is heading down below, which is prowrestlingtees.com/MWA World, and pick up some of our shirts. So we do have a special promotion going on at the moment, where the next 25 or the first 25 people to buy a shirt go in the draw to win a $25 gift card of their country, and also they go in the draw to win a bonus MWA shirt. So guys, head over there, please make sure to pick up some merchandise, be in the draw. We're just waiting on Zach to come back in. He'll be here very shortly. But guys, also coming up, who I have coming up on the show tomorrow will be deathmatch wrestler Alex Colon, and then also next week I've got Josh the Woods Goods coming on from Ring of Honor, but we have Zach back. Zach, thanks for coming on, man. Zach, you there?
I have no idea what happened.
What
Thank
happened?
you so much. We'll have to finish that story later. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? All good, brother?
I don't know.
Can't hear me?
I don't know. It's lagging
Can you
really
hear
bad
me or
over
not?
here. I don't know who's.
No, that's all good, guys.
I don't know anymore,
look,
man.
we just damn internet, they always seem to fuck things up for us. But guys, while we're here, let's get into the Australian slang game. Zach, you can hear me okay? I think we're having issues with Zach's sound. But guys, we will wrap things up.
You're
can you hear me? Hello?
Kinda.
Yeah, you seem to be crackling.
I hear you. You're lagging really bad.
All right, no worries. Well, Zach, look, I think we definitely have to get you back on the show again, my friend. We're having a few technical difficulties. We will end it there. But Zach, I'll get you to hold on for a second. We'll have a chat in the background. But guys, thank you very much for watching Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Zach is on Facebook. You can find him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Zack Monstar. Tell them where everyone can find you, brother. I got a nail in the head. All right,
if
cool,
they can
man.
Hear me. If they can hear me, awesome. If they can't, then we'll just redo this. You can find me on Twitter at Zack Monstar. You can find me on Facebook at Zachy Taylor or The Human Horror Show. And you can find me on Instagram under Real Monstar.
That's it, guys. This is Piers. As I said, make sure to tune in tomorrow. I'm sitting down with Alex Colon. And next week, I have Ring of Honor star Josh the Goods Woods. So make sure to tune in for that one, guys. Till next time, we'll see you soon. Bye.